Absolutely nothing in my life prepared me to the aftermath of Katrina. The first 2 days was normal, and then that Wednesday, you know, when people saying that there was no hope, when they're saying that the state and the city and the federal government wasn't planning on doing anything, when the horror stories from the convention center start leaking out, then that's when the whole dynamics shift. That's when Katrina shifted from being a disaster to a tragedy. Mm-hmm. And in this area here, we had a white militia that took up arms, and you had to pass a paper bag test. If you was darker than a paper bag, you couldn't come through Algiers Point. You know, they had blocked off all the streets. Firemen stopped being firemen and started being guards. You know, 1 minute you was doing rescue work with police, and the next minute they was pulling guns on you.
Talk about the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina, the first 72 hours. What was that experience like for you, and what did you see?
The white militia here was gathering ground, and you have to understand, they look like the Klan without the hats. They were driving around in the back of trucks drunk with guns pointed at black people, not anybody else, drawing guns on them and shooting people. And you know, when I first got here, the first thing that we did was we covered up this body, this bullet-riddled body over here that you could smell for 2 blocks coming over there. There's another dead body over here that was bullet-riddled. We'd already seen drowned people, but now we're seeing bullet-riddled. So who killed them? Was it the police or was it the militia? And so at the time we didn't know which one it was because both of them were out of control. New Orleans police, long history of systemic racism, systemic out of control police system. So basically when I came to take up arms in a community that I was invited into with other people from this community, black people from this community, 2 white guys and 3 black guys from this community, took up arms to defend ourselves, defend the community against being killed by militia. They were threatening Malik. They were driving by pointing their guns at him, saying they're going to get you, Mayor. I don't even know if you remembered that. They were drawing their guns, and so we were basically like, we were like, you're not going to do that. And then the police drew guns on us constantly. This is something that, you know, people in these communities have to go through every day. But it was happening to white people who didn't live here, and they kept saying they were going to overtake. So this is the situation. But they weren't doing anything to help people. They wanted to restore law and order. They did not want to. You know, you have to understand that there's like people trapped in their attics. There's people trapped on their rooftops. We're not talking about like a few hundred people. We're talking tens of thousands of people are going to die, and all they want to do is restore law and order. And they're turning a blind eye to the militia in this neighborhood. So we started to ask the people in the neighborhood, and they said, can you get the rotted meat out of here? Can you get the dead dogs out of here? Can you stop the militia can we get some medical services? And so from that, this beautiful thing started to emerge. So we took this incredibly historic, terrible situation and tried to turn it around, because what there was a crack in history that opened where power had lost all its control, and a space opened for the people from below to come and actually try to do something.
Well, Scott, how do you feel when you hear organizations like the NRA actually praising the Algiers militia?
It was infuriating. I mean, these guys, I was in an armed standoff with them, and I was thinking, and I'd always been like, well, maybe I should have pulled the trigger, and then I would have killed these people, and I would have gone to prison, and like all these bad things would have happened, would have stopped them from killing other people. But then when I hear the NRA praising them today, like in the 9th anniversary, I'm like, what's wrong with you? These men and women were killing people and bragging about it. They were treating them, like Malik was saying, as other. As anybody who was desperate was other, and treated like dogs or less than dogs, and like they should be killed. They called it pheasant season, shooting black youth. They were like, it's pheasant season. And I'm sorry you're so angry about it, but it's infuriating. It's not just the police. This is the systemic part of this.
Malik, why do you think the government failed so abysmally to react and provide adequate relief in the aftermath?
If to give the government too much credit by saying they failed. Because if you say that you failed at something, that means that you tried. You never tried.
Damn right.
So you know it from the get-go. You know that
Damn right.
we had a ship to run across this levee here, and it didn't break. Why? Because this levee protected whites. It protected the U.S. naval base that was here. So an ocean freighter could run across this levee, and it didn't break. I'm gonna tell you something. Long before Hurricane Katrina, New Orleans had already been inundated. Hurricane despair, hurricane poverty, hurricane racism. They had already inundated this area. So, you know, the only thing that Katrina really did is kind of expose it. And because that no one cared is the reason why we facing the ramification of it now. Because those little 9-year-old kids and them little 16-year-old kids that was in the convention center that you showed no love or compassion to is now 16, 18, 20 years old with a gun and have no love in their heart. Because there wasn't no trauma counselors. The first high school that was open in the aftermath of Katrina for poor blacks had up to 75 kids in one classroom. It had more guards than teachers. It's not no accident that Chicago and New Orleans have such high murder rates. Look what we did in both cities. We destroyed all the public housing without giving no economic opportunity to no one.